It's been revealed by OpenDemocracy that major US banks are funding anti-LGBTQ groups. Let's have a look more into this, guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from OpenDemocracy, and it's been revealed that major US banks are funding anti-LGBTIQ groups. Yeah. Goldman Sachs and the Bank of America foundations gave over $600,000 to ultraconservative groups, all just to rile up hatred and abuse. This is disgusting, to say the least, guys. The Bank of America and Goldman Sachs have both been lauded for their LGBTIQ-friendly workplace, but tax filings uncovered that OpenDemocracy shows no non-profit foundations linked to the banks have also founded ultra-conservative groups fighting to roll back civil rights for the queer community worldwide. How much do you feel if you're an LGBTQ working in one of these places and you find out about this? It's pretty despicable if you think about it. It really is. From 2017 to 2020, the Bank of America's Charitable Foundation handed out more than $390,000 to each such organisation, who between them have resisted the same-sex marriage laws and anti-discrimination protections for LGBTIQ people, challenging contraception and abortion access, and sought to ban gender-affiliating healthcare for trans people. OpenDemocracy also uncovered donations by the Shell Oil Company Foundation and Motorola Solutions Foundation, as well as charitable foundations of the US Chamber of Commerce and Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America's lobby groups. Between them, the six organizations donated $1.3 million to anti-rights groups over the 3 years, according to the public available financial filings in the US. Where they are registered as non-profits, they must disclose some information about their income and spending. I just don't understand why they are so against. I don't understand. It's the same with racism. Why are we against people not being allowed to be who they want to be? Like, why do we have to force them to be something that they don't want to be? I don't understand why I don't understand why these lobby groups or anyone in general are trying to take away these people's rights. I covered a while ago, I think it was in Uganda, where they passed a law against anti-LGBTQ communities there, and obviously it's a much different situation, but it's still like they consider it like unholy or wrong in every single way, that men can't be with men or women can't be with women, or you can't be bisexual and all this. It's just like, why can't people be allowed just to be themselves? That's the thing that I don't understand, and it's just a case of just stirring up hatred, really, when you think about it. Marshall Hawkins from the Human Rights Campaign urged the companies to remove funding for the anti-LGBTQIT groups and reckon with how damaging the half of those donations are to the community, including their own LGBTQ employees. The LGBTQ, if I keep mispronouncing letters, it's not intentional. I am trying to get it right. I do apologise. The LGBTQ plus communities, practically trans and non-binary people, are experiencing a relentless wave of attacks and fear from far-right extremists, she told OpenDemocracy. Employees who see their company given to hate groups and extreme politicians will want their employers to be held accountable. We do too. Funding hate. Between 2017 and 2020, the two charitable foundations of the Goldman Sachs Philanthropy Fund and Charitable Gift Funds donated $286,000 to six ultra-conservative groups. This includes $10,000 in 2019 to Alliance Defensive Freedom, that's the ADF, a Christian legal group, Religion, that has intervened in dozens of US court cases challenging same-sex marriages and adopting laws, and other backing doctors and businesses that refuse to offer services to LGBTIQ people. See, the thing is that if you're a religious person, is it really a case that God does not want men to be with men or women to be with women? Does it actually say in the Bible, you must not be that? Would not God want you to be happy and want others to be happy? Would that not be the same with any other religion? Is that not that these gods and other religious beliefs would want people to be happy? Is that not what it is? And why should it be a case that they should be forced to be something or do something that they don't want to do? Isn't that a question worth asking? The group has also worked to restrict the rights of trans people, advising US public schools to ban trans pupils from accessing facilities in line with their gender identity, and bringing legal action against all schools districts for having trans inclusive policies. Kids is a more sensitive topic for me. When I think about children in this situation, you have to be extremely careful with children, because the thing is that a child doesn't always know what they want. Sometimes it's hard for them to understand, and you have to be extremely careful with children. Children is a very dangerous topic. If you do something wrong, it could end up with permanent damage to the child for their entire life. Parents, guardians have a vital role, as well as teachers, when it comes to children in this situation. It's a very delicate balance, but they must be listened to, and they must be taken seriously, regardless of how serious or unserious they may come across, because it can have serious repercussions on the schools that don't take it seriously. It's a very difficult subject for children, in the terms of children, because if a child says that, what my fear is that if a child wants a change from a boy to a girl, or a girl to a boy at a very young age, and the fear is that later on in life they want to change back. I mean, obviously it's their choice, but at the same time, does a child always know what it wants? Is a question I think is worth asking. Children is a much more sensitive topic. I think everyone can understand. In 2020, OpenDemocracy revealed ADF's US branches spent more than $21 million opposing women in LGBTIQ rights around the world since 2008, including more than $20 million in Europe. Its UK arm has challenged protest-free buffer zones around the abortion clinics and supported calls for the freedom of consensus provision, allowing medical staff to independently refuse to provide legal abortion care. The Southern Poverty Law Centre, SPLC civil rights group, has described ADF as an anti-LGBTQ hate group, and one of the most influential groups informing the former Trump administration's attacks on LGBTQ rights. Groups are listed as hate groups by the SPLC if they depict LGBTQ people in dehumanizing ways of explicitly targeting them with discrimination. Over 3 years, Goldman Sachs charitable funds have also donated $141,200 to the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank that has opposed anti-discrimination protests for LGBTQ people in the workplace, lobbying federal lawmakers to ban gender-affirming healthcare for trans young people, and celebrating former President Donald Trump for adopting his policy to recommend to defund abortion care. $58,000 to the United States Confederation of Catholic Bishops, which donate $30,000 to the Espionage Conference of Milwaukee, ECM, a local assembly of Catholic bishops in Milwaukee, for purposes including the advocacy of members of Parliament. Some of these funds were used to lobby MPs against a proposed abortion bill, which was withdrawn by Parliament following opposition by anti-abortion groups, including EMC. Between 2017 and 2022, charitable foundations of Goldman Sachs have donated $286,300 to 6 ultraconservative groups. Other donations include $47,400 to Focus on Family, an anti-abortion group that SPLC has described as an anti-LGBTQ hate group and one of the dozen groups which helped drive the religious anti-gay crusade. $12,200 of the Leadership Institute, an anti-LGBTQ organisation that helped to lead the summer training school in Rome, organised by the Spain headquarters anti-LGBT group Citizens Go last year. Citizens Go started an online petition to prevent Disneyland Paris from holding a Pride event, which was also implicated by an investigation in Kenya into manipulation of Twitter algorithms to spread disinformation around a piece of reproductive health legislation that made a provision for access to safe abortion. $17,500 to the Federal Society of Law and Public Policy Studies, a powerful conservative legal organisation with ties to 6 of the 9 sitting Supreme Court justices who helped overturn Roe v. Wade. That was disgusting discussion, absolutely disgusting discussion by the Supreme Court. Its members include Mississippi Solicitor General Scott Stewart, who argued against abortion against the Dobbs v. Jackson case, which saw the overturn of Roe v. Wade. Between 2017 and 2020, the Bank of America's Charitable Foundations donated $375 to the Callow Institution, a liberation think tank that campaigns against abortion and the inclusion of the contraception in the U.S. Affordable Care Act. The organisation is active in anti-reproductive rights legislation and in cases for opposing anti-discrimination laws, holding religious liabilities for corporations above LGBTIQ rights and protections. Their funders include the Koch family and the Foundation of the Trump Education Betsy DeVos. The rest of the funding went to the American Center for Law and Justice, $6,850, and the Heritage Foundation, $1,300. Focus on the Family, $2,429. The Leadership Institute, $1,850. Bethlehem Christian Services, $500. The U.S. Confederate of Catholic Bishops, $555. The Human Rights International, $200, and SPLC, which is also described as an anti-LGBTQ hate group. So many hate groups. Like, why so many? Why so much hatred? Like, just so much hate. It's just wrong. Human Rights International has published articles claiming that homosexuality is unhealthy or linked to paranoia, Caledonia, and that abortion is the ideal cover-up for incest. In 2020, OpenDemocracy revealed that Human Life International has supported anti-abortion projects accused of spreading misinformation in Latin America. Telecommunications company Motorola Solutions Foundation has given at least $1,300 to ACLC Focus on the Family and Heritage Foundation. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce donated $1,012 and two ultra-conservative groups in 2019, including $42,000 to the American Legislative Exchange Council, whose Back to Neutral coalition challenges in corporate instances aimed at advancing radical and gender equality and advocate for companies to maintain ties with anti-LGBTQ groups. The company also gave $70,000 to the Federalist Society for Law and Public Studies. In response to OpenDemocracy's findings, human rights activists said these companies should pledge to remove their funding for anti-rights groups, but none of the funders have committed to doing this. Yeah. It's just so many they're throwing so much money on this. It's just disgusting. Diversity claims. The Bank of American website describes the company's commitment to LGBTQ plus colleagues and families, including a workplace ally program, and claims that it was the first financial service company to extend anti-discrimination policy to protect LGBTQ employees and offer benefits to same-sex partners. In 2019-2020, it was named Corporation of the Year by the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce, and in 2019, Fortune magazine listed banking as one of the 100 best workplaces in diversity. I think that's important to highlight there. We've still got quite a bit to go through, but I just think just so far there's so much money being funded around the world to stop these LGBTQ people being allowed to be who they want to be. It's absolutely abhorrent. The Bank of America has also donated money to groups visiting abortion access and LGBTQI rights around the world. I'll put a link in the description for this other article at the top there about charity loopholes. The company shared posts on social media showing support for Pride Month, and it's been celebrated for celebrating such display of allyship and maintaining a strong commitment to visibly supporting the cause despite right-wing backlash. However, over the same period, the bank has also donated money to groups visiting abortions access and LGBTIQ rights around the world, including the ACLJ, another Christian legal group that has intervened in dozens of US court cases challenging same-sex marriage and adoption laws, and has submitted written arguments to the European Court of Human Rights in defence of Italy's same-sex marriage ban. These companies are non-pro-LGBTQ. They are pro-money, said Reverend Albert, Executive Director of Soulforce, an LGBTIQ group challenging faith-based discrimination. It is entirely unethical for a company to claim to be pro-LGBT to make money off our labour as employers and our dollars as customers and clients, but also making donations to people who are seeking our exclusion from society and withdraw holding our foundational human rights. Human Rights Campaign HRC has celebrated Motorola Solutions and Shell Oil Companies for their workplace inclusion practice and awarded Goldman Sachs a perfect score in its Corporation Equality Index, which ranks US companies by the LGBTQ+ inclusion, such as whether they extend anti-discrimination policies to protect LGBTQ+ employees and offer benefits to their same-sex partners. In 2022, this index named Goldman Sachs among the best place to work for the LGBTQ+ equality. Hawkins, director of HRC's Program for Workplace Equality, told OpenDemocracy that the index includes guidelines to ensure companies will ask basic questions and their giveaway will reduce harm to our community, she said. We expect companies to live into these guidelines and work with them to provide consultation as they update policies and practices. No accountability. OpenDemocracy wrote to each company with the evidence of these groups, anti-rights activists, and asked why they gave funds to charities challenging abortion access and LGBTIQ right around the world in an apparent conflict with their own equalities commitments. A Shell spokesman told OpenDemocracy that donations were made under its matching grants program, whereby the company makes donations on behalf of its employees to charities of their choosing. Between 2017 and 2019, Shell employees directed $65,000 to 7 US groups that challenge abortion laws or LGBTIQ rights, including the ACLJ, ADF, and Heritage Foundation, as well as Human Life International and Heartbeat International, another leading anti-abortion lobby group. At Shell, we aspire to sustain such diversity, including culture, where everyone feels respected and valued from where our employees and our customers and partners, spokesperson said. While Shell encourages employees giving, it does not endorse any organisations that choose to support. So you take the money even though it's for different cause. Given it is a personal decision not directed by the company that an employee's requests are fulfilled as long as the receipts are in good standing with the IRS tax regulator. Motorola Solutions operates a similar matching grants program. However, charities are not automatically eligible to receive funding, unlike Shell. Motorola reviews non-profits to ensure the groups and causes support through their employee matching program are aligned with our commitments to diversity and inclusion, spokesperson told OpenDemocracy. We regularly review and update our eligibility on organisations to ensure the groups and causes support their employees matching programs and align with our communication commitments to diversity and inclusion. When asked why in 2020 Motorola donated $1,300 to 3 ultraconservative groups, including the ACLJ, Focus on the Family, and the Heritage Foundation, the company's spokesperson told OpenDemocracy that 2 of these groups are no longer eligible for inclusion in its grants program, but it did not say which of these groups were still eligible to receive funding. A spokesperson for Goldman Sachs, who did not wish to be quoted, explained that the Goldman Sachs Philosophy Funds is a donor-advised fund whereby client donation charities of their choosing in exchange for a tax deduction. The bank does not review charities' eligibility to receive funds. The Human Rights Campaign has contacted Goldman Sachs, Motorola Solutions, and Shell Oil Company with questions about OpenDemocracy's findings. A spokesperson says, "We are actively working on it." The Bank of America did not respond to OpenDemocracy's request for comment. So much money is being driven into this, guys. It is outrageous. Outrageous how much money is being driven into this, guys. I know this is a very long video, but I thought we needed to see just how much money is being pumped in to fund these anti-LGBT groups, desperately trying to stop that, spew this vile hatred. And as I've said in the video a few times already, let people be themselves. Let people be themselves. It's just a means to turn people against each other for no reason whatsoever, to just rile up hatred and abuse, and it's disgusting to say the least. It is. You know, we're trying to everybody should be given a level playing field, and we don't want, and for some reason these groups have this belief that like it's a curse or it's going to destroy mankind or something to not be with the opposite sex. To be with the same sex is apparently like abhorrent or something in their minds, and I just don't understand the logic behind it. Money and power, it's just dangerous in every single sense of the way. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm eager to hear what you guys think on this article from OpenDemocracy. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for reading it along with me, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.